These streets and alleyways would have been alive with kids playing football and screaming and shouting. And I knew coming to Omdurman would be hard. This is the shell that fell in the house. This is a diary of RSF soldiers. There were 35 RSF fighters here. I can see the yellow bridge that takes you from Omdurman to Khartoum. It's a city divided. This neighborhood is 125 years old, and it's the first time it's probably this empty. It's been a very tough homecoming. It's very strange to experience the desecration of your own memories in so many ways. So many people you meet, the stories that you hear are all the same, of hardships that I can't even begin to imagine what people had to endure. I left Sudan as a 19-year-old. Over the years, I returned to Omdurman many times. It was always the same feeling returning home, the familiarity of crossing the Nile and the smell of the river. This is the first time I've seen Omdurman since the war started last year. I start by checking in on my mother's cousin Mamoun. He's a retired banker that chose not to leave his house. He survived the months this area was controlled by the Rapid Support Forces. They even mistook his identity for an army officer and arrested him for a few days. His house was hit by mortar fire twice, and shrapnel is still in his arm. So this is the shell that fell in the house. You can see there is a serial number, and it was produced in 2022.
يعني من هنا قوة برضو كبيرة جدا ما قل من 15 17 يخشوا البيت هنا قلبوا كله حتى المنهولات دي فتحوها عشان عينوا جوا في حاجة ولا كده. بعد عرضنا للمشكلة الثانية بتاعت ال40 يوم ما في زول يطلع من البيت ما في بتاع ما قعدنا بس نفعنا مخزون الأكل اللي كان موجود من رمضان القبلي ده.
These are homes that one used to come and meet people. Al-Hashmab is one of the old neighborhoods in the city. Our ancestors moved here in the late 19th century after they pledged allegiance to the Mahdi, the founder of Omdurman. My mother's grandfather built this mosque in the 1930s. And it is reassuring to come and find the faithful still hold their prayers here. It is strange to attend the masjid with so few people attending a Friday prayer. Only 3 rows. I reported from these streets in 2019, when there was hope that the peaceful uprising that toppled Omar al-Bashir would make way for a democratic transition. But in October 2021, 2 years later, the army and its ally, the Rapid Support Forces, upended it all and turned against their civilian partners. By April 2023, the disagreements between the two were out in the open and war broke out. Both sides have been accused of war crimes. I can see the yellow bridge that takes you from Omdurman to Khartoum. And it fills me with a lot of sadness that I cannot cross to the other side of the city. It's a city divided. These streets and alleyways would have been alive with kids playing football and screaming and shouting, and you would have had your cousins next door, your neighbors, you'd be seeing people. This neighborhood is 125 years old, and it's the first time it's probably this empty. I'm now going to go in and say hello to my auntie Wafa. She stayed alone in the house with a couple of ladies, and I don't know what she's going to tell me, and I don't think she's expecting me, so it's going to be a surprise for her. Assalamu alaikum.
كيف؟
ازيك؟
الله يسلمك.
الحمد لله.
أخبارك؟
كيف اخبارك؟
كيف انت؟
انا الحمد لله.
All these are bullet holes by the RSF. They were apparently just trying to intimidate the women. It was Hawa, my aunt, and another maid. They've dug out that thinking that people might be burying gold.
وكلها كانت إرهاب وكلها كانت استغلال واستهداف وكلها كانت سرقة لأي شيء له معنى. والأجهزة الكهربائية، الحاجات المبردات، أي حاجة، حتى القروش، حتى ذهب. بعد كله شكل ونبذ وإرهاب واستفزاز شديد يعني لحياتنا.
It's good that I managed to come and visit my auntie Wafa. It's reassuring that she's managed to survive the worst month. She had a terrible seven month. But she's still standing. They've stolen everything she has, but she's relying on Allah and her faith.
Over the years, I have seen my neighborhood change. Many have passed away, many left to build lives elsewhere. But there was always family, cousins and relatives that stayed behind. Not now. Most of the residents of these homes had to flee for their lives.
I knew coming to Omdurman would be hard. And I've spent month and month prepping myself for a moment where I'm going to come back to my grandfather's house, where I used to live. I'm looking at the house before I go inside because I feel it's going to be heavy. Let's go into the house, I guess. I mean, you can see all the neighborhood. Several of my cousins left their cars in here. Everything has been looted or destroyed or damaged. Look at the destruction of it. Then there's the basement where I used to live. My history books. I mean, at least the relief is, these are all books that I bought before I left Sudan. Everything in the trunks has been looted.
This is perhaps one of the earliest portraits of me and my brother, a time when Afro was king. And then by chance, this rare glimpse into the workings of the RSF fighting units.
This is a diary of RSF soldiers stating the number of the force that was stationed here on the 3rd of October 2023. There were 35 RSF fighters here. The guy in charge, his name is Mahmoud, and what they had in terms of rations. Evidence of war. That's my late father during his university years. When the war started in April last year, he couldn't compute what was going on. And I guess the shock of what was happening in Sudan had its toll on him. That's my father's PhD, a copy of it, and my grandmother's prayer beads. Some salvaging albums and books and memento. How is this war going to end? I don't know. The suffering is immense. Inshallah, God willing, one day we'll be able to come back. And the people who used to live here will try and build new lives.